Bore da, good morning, croeso and welcome to this annual Carers Summit session.
I know that unpaid carers continue to face considerable pressures, and I remain absolutely committed to putting the voice of unpaid carers at the heart of our policy, our social care policy and our health policy. I'm pleased we've been able to support unpaid carers in this financial year with £10 million of extra funding in 21-22. And we're making 5.5 million of this year's winter plan funding available to local authorities to provide a range of support according to local need. £3 million has already been awarded to local authorities to increase opportunities for unpaid carers to have a break from their caring role. And 3 million is included in the Welsh Government's draft budget to continue this important work into 22-23. And I'm taking advice from my ministerial advisory group on carers on how to maximise the impact of this funding. And we've awarded 1.25 million to Carers Trust Wales to extend the Carers Support Fund into this financial year. And I know you want us to do more to help. And I've listed a few of the things that we've already done. But as a government, we are, recognise the hugely valuable work that you do, and are determined to do all that we can to, to help you.
The vast majority of carers we spoke to this week, I have to say, are tired. They're tired as a result of the demands of their caring role, but they're also tired of waiting for support and battling a system which quite simply just does not work for them. If the health and social care system were likened to a three-legged stool, with each leg being health, social care and unpaid carers, each leg is absolutely critical for the other to remain upright and stable. The Social Services and Wellbeing Act has not delivered on its aspiration for better support for carers. Amongst other things, its delivery has been impeded by financial austerity, a global pandemic, but also ingrained attitudes dismissing unpaid carers in statutory bodies. Albert, what assurances can you give carers that their needs will be addressed and prioritised in your work plan as Chief Social Care Officer for Wales?
Thank you, Claire. Bore da, mae'n fraint ac yn bleser cael bod yma heddiw. As the Chief Social Care Officer for Wales, I'm developing my priorities, and one of my top priorities in the top 5 priorities that I will be working on, Claire, is unpaid carers and issues around unpaid carers.
We heard from many carers this week that if there was more effective and meaningful integration between health and social care, that would really help them. Please, can you tell us about how you're addressing this work through your work in the NHS and through the Welsh Local Government Association?
Undoubtedly, the NHS would, I'd go as far as to say, collapse if it wasn't for the enormous work that unpaid carers are doing. I'd just like to, put on the record those thanks. All that we can do in health and in social care and with local government to ensure that there's a joined up approach to supporting people to stay well, to supporting those of you who are providing care. We need to do more. I'd accept that. And health boards across Wales are implementing initiatives with local authorities to ensure that the needs of carers are taken into account with any planning around things like hospital discharge. But as importantly, joining up health and care within the community.
Social Services and Wellbeing Act, brilliant in intention, but far from seeing the action we need in terms of delivery. The important thing is, that closer integration of our care system, as I like to call it, and actually delivery of services, you know, in a place-based, you know, locality-based model, which is what we're doing in Cardiff. And the sooner we move to that, out of hospital, so, you know, that we can keep people home, the sooner the better.
What carers really want is action, and action quickly as well, on those commitments. From what I heard in the workshops this week, carers don't really mind who provides the care, whether it's health or social care, or how it's funded, or all the bureaucratic intricacies maybe in that system. What they want is the right care delivered in the right place and at the right time for their loved ones.
So one of the things we've done over the past few years is completely rewritten all the vocational qualifications for frontline health and social care workers, and they are framed on a rights-based approach. So the emphasis there is about the rights of the person who needs care and support, but a strong emphasis on those unpaid carers, often family members, who also need that support. So that programme of work is now in place. Keeping this pressure on from carers' voices is absolutely vital. The Deputy Minister has already said government has made the commitment. We've got the carers strategy. So we have the tools there. It is down to implementation now. And I do see this as a job for leadership. So leadership from Welsh Government, leadership in health boards, in local authorities, in teams, in our organisation. And I'm certainly prepared to commit to be an ambassador for unpaid carers.
What assurances can you give carers that improvements will be made in hospital discharge processes through your work at the NHS Confederation?
I think communication engagement is definitely key to this, ensuring that you get the advice about what support is available locally from the health service, from care providers, from local authorities is vital. And I think I've looked at this for family members, and I describe it as a crowded marketplace. There isn't one place you can go for the information about what support is available to you. You look at I'd say this organisation, Carers Wales, doing a brilliant job of sort of collating what is a huge amount of information about services available depending on where you live. And I can see comments in the sidebar about the postcode lottery. So I'd just like to say thanks to Carers Wales for helping with that. But it is something definitely that health care, voluntary sector, local authorities do need to improve upon, and I'll definitely take that message back.
We need to differentiate in terms of what's needed, perhaps in rural areas, urban areas. But I think the thing that we absolutely must, as we come out of the pandemic, and we are not there, but as we come out of the pandemic, we have to really action respite.
I think a lot of energy at the moment goes into contesting with the system, challenging, contesting. My words may not be the right words to capture exactly the voice of carers, but I think that energy, that energy often is an unhelpful energy being expended, rather than we really want to support you to be able to be in a position where you're not worried about, that contest. You're focusing on both the support, the care and support that you offer, but also the support that you receive to enable you to do all those great caring responsibilities that you quite rightly deliver on a day-to-day basis.
It's a resource-led service that they're getting, rather than a needs-led service. And I think as well that there was a feeling, certainly in some of the chats that I was there, that the Social Services Wellbeing Act is fine in itself. Nothing wrong with the Act per se. It's just that it's not being implemented.
If you're unhappy with any service received, you must raise a complaint. And while those complaints policies may vary slightly across Wales, by and large, they're very similar. And each local authority will have a complaints officer who will be able to give the appropriate advice and support, and should help you determine through discussion when a complaint should then progress from perhaps local resolution to a more formal investigation. And hopefully you'll be aware of the Public Services Ombudsman. So if you remain dissatisfied with the outcome, the Public Services Ombudsman for Wales has legal powers to look into complaints.
I mean, I think it's getting to the point that we may even look to legally challenge some of the situations that are going on across Wales, where people have had consistent complaints and not been supported through that process. What do you believe the key actions are that Welsh Government should take to support carers who are in employment?
We have to ensure that social care is there and available to provide for unpaid carers in order for them to be able to go back to the office. So if they look after someone who used to go into respite care 5 days a week and that care isn't open, then they themselves cannot go back into the office 5 days a week. So what does that look like, and what implications does that have for hybrid working as we move forward? Unpaid carers bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to the workplace that they have not just from their working lives, but through their caring responsibilities. Many carers become carers in their 40s and 50s. They're at a more senior level in your organisation. How much does it cost to replace that person and train them up? When actually, by providing flexible working or providing short-term, part-time working, you could keep that person in post. So I think it's about recognising and valuing. We hear an awful lot about how carers don't feel valued, but I think in the workplace it's about valuing. And if you put a price tag attached to that, suddenly businesses will listen to you and realise that actually it's in their financial interests to support unpaid carers in the workplace.
In my new job, which it is a new job of Chief Social Care Officer for Wales, I will be committing to having unpaid carers as one of my top priorities. That is an enormous commitment to you. That is about then, Claire, us looking together to work with government, to work with Carers Wales, to work with organisations, and to work with carers to seek the improvements that you are highlighting today.
We need a very clear way to identify unpaid carers. For me, too, it's about valuing carers, but more than that is respecting them as the, if you like, the professional, alongside professionals. Let's have a look at the, our complaints processes, and, let's see, because for me, they are reactive. If people have to complain, I feel there's already failure in the system.
I think one of the things that stood out for me in the commentary today is that any planning of healthcare provision, any planning of social care provision, any planning of support needs to be needs-led. And I think another takeaway really for me is that what people on this call, particularly in the sidebar messages, want is not platitudes. They want, action and change and things to be really improved, and we're committed to doing that.
The other thing for me is to ensure we keep using the evidence that you capture.
I'm interested in the complaint system as something I would like to look at. I'm disappointed to hear the length of time people are waiting to get a resolution or have a conversation. I do appreciate that once it's reached complaint, you could suggest there's already failing, but it's important that when people are dissatisfied, that there is a accessible mechanism that is timely and efficient. So I will look at that.
My plea is that we learn from one another. There is some really good practice right across the nations. There's some really good practice and there's some really bad practice. And I think that we need to learn to share better across the nations.
I, like Helen, have no doubt that Claire will be pushing forward with all the actions and recommendations, and also the commitments that everyone has made here today to forward the case for better systems for unpaid carers across Wales. I think, like other people have said, the most important thing for us as carers is to be felt valued for the skills and the huge amount of knowledge we have.
That brings to the conclusion the plenary session for the Wales Carer Summit. We will work with dedication, motivation, determination to make the changes that are needed. Diolch yn fawr iawn, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.